book lovers, my name is Carrie, and this is Spines and Spoilers. Today I would like to discuss the 10 most disappointing books that I've read in 2022. I would like to emphasize, however, that I don't mean worst necessarily, I just mean most disappointing. Like books that I expected so much out of and then ended up flopping. Does this include the worst books that I read this year? You betcha it does. But also it includes some that weren't necessarily bad, they just weren't what I was expecting. Usually I would open with discussing what I am reading and what I am drinking. But I am actually taking a break for the moment from reading. My husband is going to be choosing the stuff that I read in December because I am a masochist, I suppose. I guess. I don't know. And I'm not drinking anything particularly interesting either. I'm just drinking water. That's it. Now, I'm going to start with books that were just disappointing, and then move on to books that were actively bad as well as disappointing. Number 1 is gonna get me a lot of hate, but I don't care. It's Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This book was so boring to me, and otherwise just very fine. It's just the most fine that you can be. You know, I don't think it was for me, honestly, in retrospect, but it had so much hype, and I got the arc for it, you know? And I have to read it if I got the arc for it. And yeah, it really wasn't for me. It wasn't really my genre or just my type of story in general. Yes, there was a lot of disappointment there because it was so hyped up and it wasn't quite what I expected, but also I don't think that is the fault of the author. The next book is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. This one was disappointing, but it's because it was too short. I ended up giving it a 2.5, and I hate doing that because it had such good bones. It just didn't have enough meat to go on those bones. Like, it had all of these good ideas. It was so creative. But then it didn't really do a lot with them, and we didn't get a lot of details. So I would love it if Cassandra Khaw would come back and establish like a full novel of this book. I would absolutely love that. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would love it. Number 3 is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is another one of those books where I thought I was going to really enjoy it, but I didn't. It was fine. I kind of forgot that it was by TJ Klune as well, and that made me feel kind of, I left a bad taste in my mouth afterwards. This one was also very hyped up though, and it was just fine. I don't understand the hype. Number 4 is Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks and Rainbow Rowell. This one had an intense level of hype, and I watched it specifically for, you know, Halloween and fall in that season. And I feel like it was hyped up as this just, you know, queer story, and it was disappointing. It was a letdown. It ended up being very predictable and super hetero, honestly. It's barely mentioned that the character is bisexual, and it's barely a plot point. To me, that is how I felt. I felt like it was hyped up as being this queer representation book, and that was also, you know, spoopy and great for Halloween, and it just Number 5 is The Fireman by Joe Hill. This is one that wasn't just fine, it was good. There were a lot of good elements of it, but it was disappointing. I was expecting a lot more than it was. He adapted too many of his father's mannerisms, in my opinion. He did a lot of rambling, and this book was like 100 pages at least too long. It should have been shorter than it was. There was no need for some things to be elaborated on as much as they were. Number 10 is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people love this one. I just didn't. It was fine. It was super duper fine. I don't really want to read any of the sequels though. I just felt no investment. Maybe it was just because I hyped myself up so much to read this book, and then finally sat down and read it, and it was just fine. Number 6, not number 10, sorry. Okay, so these last 4 books, I thought, in my opinion, were actively bad. So number 7 is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I hated this book. I'm sorry, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was so mean-spirited. It should have been so much shorter. It should have been a short story, honestly, maybe 60 pages at most. It said what it had to say in that amount of time, and then it kept going. And the narrator is the husband, and he is the world's biggest jerk. Hated him. Absolutely despised him. And it felt like the rest of the book was just up its own ass. I'm sorry. Number 8 is going to be controversial, and I wish I could say that I'm sorry, but I'm not. It's Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. I also hated this book. It was not good, Patrick. Rarely do I leave books feeling vaguely violated, but that's kind of how this book made me feel. Like, I kind of get what it was going for, but no. 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 I didn't hate it as much as I hated The Vegetarian, which isn't saying much, but no. Alright, my husband's on the way home, and I don't like recording around other people, so we gotta wrap this up. Number 9 is Jokes to Offend Men. Wasn't funny. That's all I have to say. I feel like it didn't really achieve what it was aiming for. I didn't enjoy it. It barely got a chuckle out of me, if that tells you anything. And I am a giggly bitch, the world's easiest person to entertain. It would not have taken much. Alright, number 10. This is where the real disputes come in. It's It by Stephen King. I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for this. I don't care. Fight me. It's too long. It is absolutely egregious, the amount of slurs that this individual uses. It has gotten so much hype because no one wants to tell Stephen King no, and I have so much beef with this damn book. This book has made it so that I no longer want to read anything by Stephen King for a little while. Like, his book, If It Bleeds, which is a series of short stories, which I love his short stories generally. I could not read it because I read this one. And my brain was just so tired of Stephen King. This is 1,090 pages. It could be that short. It could be. If you took the good stuff out of this, if you took the meat out of it, like the actual meat that made a good story, took it out, and like just put it in, it would be half the length. Half the length. Half the book should have been left on the cutting room floor. I have so much to say about this. I have already made a rant video though. But yes, no. Fuck this book. Go watch the movie. But that's the 10 most disappointing books I've read in 2022. If it helps, it's only 10 because I didn't have a lot of disappointing reads this year. Like, I was going to do like a 22 worst books that I've read in 2022 list, but I wouldn't call a lot of them worst. Like, they weren't necessarily bad. They just were fine. A lot of my books fell in like the 4 to like 3-star range this year. And I had a lot of 5 stars, honestly. So there weren't a lot in like the 1 and 2-star range, which is where it gets bad. And I didn't want to put a lot of 3 stars on here either, because that feels wrong, at least if it's on a worst list. But if it's most disappointing, that's a horse of a different color. At any rate, I'm sorry for the ranting. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was semi-stressful to make, but I still enjoyed it. I hope that you're having a good time out there. You're staying safe on the icy roads wherever you live, whether there's ice or there's not. Just keeping warm in the cold, enjoying your time with your family, whether it's found family or actual family, your polycule, whatever it is. Am I still slightly agitated from this video? Maybe a little bit, but not at you. You did nothing. You're innocent. Unless you're Stephen King, in which case, thank you so much for watching though. I appreciate it more than you know, especially when I'm ranting and raving about stuff. If you feel like liking and sharing and subscribing and all that jazz, please do. I understand if you don't, especially on this video. But yeah, if you feel like it, it would help a lot. What's most important though is that you remember to love yourself. Please. Alright, bye.